In today's video, I want to go over with you guys some major changes to PlayStation hierarchy. PlayStation's worldwide studios boss Shuhei Yoshida is replaced by Guerrilla Games' co-founder. Very interesting development here, and we'll talk all about that. PlayStation now is also being taken very seriously by Sony. However, they want first-party launches to be, quote, pure. Essentially, I wouldn't expect first-party games to be arriving on PlayStation now anytime soon, and we'll talk all about that at the end of this video. And before we get into everything, I just want to remind you guys to make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon so you are always notified of uploads, and that definitely helps out the channel too, so we always appreciate that. First up, here's a very interesting development, and one that's really going to shape the future of Sony and PlayStation heading into next generation. There's definitely been something going on behind the scenes at PlayStation. Recent departures include PlayStation boss Andrew House, Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide Studios chairman Sean Layden, and head of second-party games Gio Corsi. And now we have perhaps the most surprising shakeup yet. Longtime Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide Studios president Shuhei Yoshida is stepping down. Yoshida has held his position for over a decade, going back to 2008, and has been an integral part of the PlayStation team since its inception in the early 90s. A large portion of PlayStation's biggest franchises were created under the Yoshida era and Yoshida's watchful eye. Yoshida will be replaced by a very interesting addition to the role, and his role will be taken by Guerrilla Games' co-founder Herman Hulst. If you want to know a little bit about Herman Hulst, here's what PlayStation boss Jim Ryan said, thanks to WCCF Tech for this information. Jim Ryan noted, Herman is one of the most effective and well-respected leaders in the video game industry. He is a passionate advocate for the teams he leads and understands how to empower creative talent to build great experiences. Worldwide Studios is a critical part of the future successes of the company, and we must deliver on the promise we have made to gamers to create imaginative and exciting content that is truly unique to PlayStation. I have no doubt Herman can lead our teams to deliver compelling and diverse experiences at a steady cadence. Shuhei Yoshida won't be leaving Sony. He's still going to be a core part of the team. He'll instead be working with indie developers as a part of a new company initiative. Sony has fallen somewhat behind in recent years when it comes to securing indie exclusives, so Yoshida will still be doing important work, but there's no doubt that this is somewhat of a step aside. I don't want to say the word demotion, although if you do want to phrase this as a demotion, you can definitely see it as such. He was head of Worldwide Studios. I mean, that was a pretty integral role in terms of developing the PlayStation ecosystem. Working in this newish initiative, I'm sure it's going to be important to Sony, however, not necessarily as important as the whole of being president to Worldwide Studios. Whatever the case may be, Yoshida did a great job in his role. However, Herman Hulst taking over that position, I do think that is a great addition. I'm not necessarily saying that this is going to revolutionize Sony or anything like that. And it's going to be very interesting to see how Herman Hulst takes this in the future, and if we're going to be noticing any changes. I mean, as far as first party goes, that's one of Sony's really drawing factors to their platform, and whatever Shuhei Yoshida has done has been pretty fantastic. Herman Hulst, I do believe, is quite a bit younger, so to get youth in that position I don't think is the worst idea in the world, but hopefully Sony retains its excellent first-party development and everything going on in terms of games curation, because that is probably the strongest element to PlayStation as a whole. We'll see how this development affects the overarching narrative of Sony and PlayStation heading into the PlayStation 5 and years into the generation. However, it's a very notable change that I did want to make you guys aware of. Alright, moving on from that, PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan, on the other hand, recently talked with the games industry with a number of topics at hand, and specifically, I do want to know what he talked about in regards to PlayStation Now. He noted that they're taking it very seriously, but we still want first-party launches to be pure. Here's exactly what was noted. Quote, "We are taking this very seriously. The commitment we've made in terms of price cuts, the investment in content, the marketing campaign, it's a pretty vivid illustration of that seriousness. We've been doing this for a number of years, and very quietly, we've been taking an awful lot from it. We had an important inflection point earlier this year when we were able to bring the last 7 data centers online for Scandinavia, Italy, and Spain, which gave us blanket coverage of Western Europe. That was a game-changing moment because as somebody who spent a lot of time in Europe, I was nervous talking too much about a service that a German player could enjoy, but an Italian gamer could not, so we were switching on the lights at the various data centers, and that process was rather time-consuming. Only when we got to the point where we have the whole of Western Europe could we have a proper conversation with the European community and start to take this seriously. PlayStation Now subscribers have dramatically increased since the change occurred with the price cuts and changes to the games offered, and now the total figure surpasses the 7-figure mark, and they do have over 1 million subscribers. However, PlayStation Now won't be allowed to cannibalize big PlayStation launches such as the upcoming The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima. Those games are not going to be a part of PlayStation Now right away for the launch. The comparison point, of course, is Microsoft offers a lot of first-party games as a part of Xbox Game Pass. Notably, just about every first-party game is a part of Game Pass. Anything that's coming out, whether it be Gears of War 5, Outer Worlds isn't a first-party title. However, Microsoft did acquire Obsidian, and future games from them will be a part of Game Pass, and I would imagine Halo Infinite and all of the other upcoming Xbox exclusives will be a part of Game Pass directly. However, Sony doesn't have that plan. Ryan noted, quote, "It's an area that is fast-changing and fluid. The nature and scale of some of the first-party games that we are making leads us to think that right now it's better to spend energy on making sure that the launch of those games is a massive entertainment event. I would say God of War and Spider-Man and The Last of Us 2 next year will fall into that category." That's where we stand right now, but our stance on the inclusion of first-party games in PS Now in terms of what we've done this month is very different to our stance 12 months ago. I don't want to say this is what PS Now is going to be like forever, but certainly right now, given how some of our first-party IP is incredibly special and valuable, we just want to treat them with the amazing care and respect and have those launches be clean and pure. So that is a very, very verbose way of saying we don't want to give you The Last of Us Part 2 for $10. I mean, come on, you can come out and say something like that. I understand you don't want to give us the PlayStation 4 exclusives and the big budget exclusives for a measly price of $10 a month or $60 a year, but man, they really went in depth on it, saying that they want to make these big entertainment events. Yeah, you want our $60, I understand, because The Last of Us Part 2 is a gargantuan of a game release, and I can understand why they don't want to offer that game for $10 a month. You also have to assess the fact that yes, $10 a month, it would be a great offering as a part of a subscription service, and you might argue it'll bolster subscription numbers a lot, and I would say it would. However, there is this long-lasting effect that doing this will have. Does that mitigate the reason for developers to go all in the development of these games? If they're not being sold for $60, if they're just gonna be a part of this overarching subscription service, I would imagine that ultimately the quality of the games would eventually diminish. I mean, it would have to, just because the revenue generation wouldn't be there unless you have millions upon millions of subscribers, and I just don't know if we're gonna get there, just because these big budget games, your Last of Us Part 2, your Marvel Spider-Mans, they act as these games that sell north of 3 million copies in 24 hours, and then they're gonna sell more millions upon millions of copies in the years that go by. Is it really worth it dropping all of that revenue that's generated? The gamer spending $60 on day one, buying the games digitally now, mind you. A lot of these games are being bought digitally. They are generating a lot of revenue for it. Do you want to go away from that and start offering these games for $10 a month? You're also lessening the value of these games, because once you start offering these games at $10 a month, it's really hard to go back from that and be like, okay, these games are no longer going to be a part of this service. We want to go back to selling it for $60, because once you've committed to a price point, very hard to drastically increase that price point. It would be very difficult for Microsoft at this point to go back and be like, okay, we're not going to be releasing the next Gears on Game Pass. It's just going to be a $60 new release. I feel like once you've committed to it, yes, you can go back on that, but you've also done some damage to that brand, and it's hard to once again sell gamers after they've gotten accustomed to spending $10 a month, or whatever the case may be. There's a lot to digest, and there's a lot of moving parts from a business standpoint in making a decision like this that I feel like some people are going to have difficulty comprehending. Some of you guys are just going to think ultimately, oh, why don't they make this on PlayStation Now? That would bolster subscription numbers so much. There's a lot that goes into this decision, because if you can get people to sign up to PlayStation Now for $10 a month, if you can get a decent amount of subscribers, and then you can also sell them The Last of Us Part 2 as a standalone $60 game, ultimately that's what you would want. You would want people spending as much money as possible. Yes, for me, for the consumer, do we want to have everything for $10 a month? Of course, but from a business standpoint, you do have to think a little bit differently as far as that's concerned. So yes, I do know I rambled quite a bit about that, but I feel like I should put my own input and help you guys understand why certain decisions are being made as far as PlayStation Now that was concerned. And you also have to understand, from a PlayStation first-party standpoint, it's very different than a Microsoft first-party standpoint. PlayStation has this generation of delivering compelling exclusive after compelling exclusive. Not to completely crap all over Microsoft, what have they done from an exclusive standpoint that has been all that compelling? I thought Gears 5 was a decent game, Forza Horizon 4 was fantastic, but outside of that, Crackdown 3, nothing to write home about. State of Decay 2, nothing to write home about. Sea of Thieves, again, nothing to write home about. When you're talking about PlayStation, even the lesser exclusives like a Days Gone, a Concrete Genie, or a Medieval Remake, those are very good games. And then when you open the floodgates to the top tier PlayStation 4 exclusives, God of War, Spider-Man, Uncharted 4, The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Death Stranding, you're talking about some of the biggest and best games of this entire generation. So that's my viewpoint on that, and that's gonna conclude this video. Again, PlayStation Worldwide Studios boss Shuhei Yoshida has been replaced by Guerrilla Games co-founder and Herman Hulse. We'll see how that change has an effect on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation going forward into 2020 and beyond. And as far as PlayStation Now goes, gonna be a big element of PlayStation going forward. However, do not expect first-party games on PS Now anytime in the near future. Could it happen later? Sure, but right now, I think Sony is committed on selling you Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, and all of these games for $60. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.